Hello everyone and welcome back to the Fantasy Football Fixture YouTube channel. My name's FPL Phillips and it's time for another weekly edition of Eddie versus the Algorithm, the series here on FPL YouTube where I'm taking on the computer-generated team for each individual game week of the season, seeing if I can beat it with my own personal free hit draft for each game week. So far, I'm doing rather well. 2014 is the current score with the win secured over the course of the 23-24 campaign as well, but we're obviously still going to play out the remainder of the game weeks that are left too. And it was another victory last week, which is what's made the score 2014. De Bruyne, Anthony Gordon, there were a few players in that team that did make the difference for me, despite a good pick in Conor Gallagher, which I have to give a shout out to with the algorithm. With all that said and done though, let's move into having a look at the game week 36 team for the algorithm. It's that bad, isn't it, that I'm forgetting which game week of the season that we are even on at this point. They're coming thick and fast at the moment. Game week 35 only just finished yesterday, and with that game week 36, a bit of a nothing game week before we move into the big double in 37. But at this point in the season, every game week can make a big difference when we're chasing mini league, first place people and whatnot. So let's get into this team and have a look at it. 65 predicted points, and in goal is going to be Jordan Pickford this week. Everton have been keeping a great number of clean sheets recently. I was a big advocate for picking up some of their defensive assets on wildcard last week as well. I think a lot of people went Branthwaite. Some people had Pickford as well, a very good option, although he might have been on benches last week, unfortunately. Given that Petrovic and people like that did deliver, it's not too sore. But I think it's good for people who have gone that way anyway, that Everton are continuing to be strong defensively. They've got a pretty nice fixture this week in Luton away. Hopes of another clean sheet in that one, perhaps. I think as the fixtures go this week, that is one of the best ones to kind of target with your defensive assets, as there are some attackers from some of the other maybe big teams that you're going to want to load up on, rather than picking, attacking Everton assets and defenders from City, Arsenal, etc. But we'll see who has made it in from those teams, because the back three consists of exactly 3 players from each of those teams. So Man City, 1 Man City asset and 2 Arsenal defenders. Vardiol after his 15-pointer, which not bigging anyone up, but which I picked up last week. No one cares. Wolves at home for Manchester City, and Vardiol is looking like a good asset at the moment. Has started to pick up quite a few goals actually in different competitions, so definitely a good asset to have in your side. Him and Walker, I think, are ones that people are going to be looking at a lot more over the next couple of weeks, maybe picking up that third kind of Man City slot before their double in 37. So obviously kind of 2 more transfers and a number of hits that might be required to make all the required moves before that game week. But I know there are a lot of defensive injuries at the moment, and so as defensive picks go, I think Vardiol was definitely right up there. And now that he is right up there and he's not less of a risk anymore, it's probably going to be the point where Pep decides to bench him. So beware that, of course, with Man City, everyone can be a bit of a rotation risk. And then we got White and Gabriel as the 2 Arsenal defenders, who are very much so, I think, probably the strongest picks. White from open play, Gabriel from the set pieces. I think they just are the best combination. A little bit more expensive, obviously, than other assets you can pick up right now in FPL for players who have double game weeks, etc. But I think Arsenal are just so far ahead and clear of the other defences at the moment in terms of clean sheet capability that I think it's definitely worth having one still in your side. And for this week in particular, on the free hit, Bournemouth at home is a very appetising looking fixture to target defensively. So that's why White and Gabriel are in here. Let's have a look at the midfield then. We've got De Bruyne, Salah, Palmer and Saka. And then Salah continues to make it into Algorithm 11 after Algorithm 11, despite kind of not returning in a number of weeks now, at least significantly. So they've got Tottenham at home. Again, not the strongest fixture in the world, but Salah could get something there. Personally, I'm not going to back it, and I don't think that you guys should either. I still think there's a risk that Salah might not even start in the game against Spurs. A bit of that debacle on the touchline. I know it's kind of been confirmed that Salah will be staying at Liverpool this summer anyway. However, I just don't trust it. It's a lot of money, especially even on a free hit. Even if you still own Salah, then I'd definitely be looking to get rid for maybe someone like a Kevin De Bruyne, who is in this side now. We know what he can do against Wolves in the past, and he's had fantastic performances recently. Maybe a bit more of an assist threat than a goal threat, which isn't something I look for very much in my midfield picks. You want to go for someone, maybe even like a Foden, who has quite a lot of goal threat in him and the potential to get those 2 extra points that the midfielders get from a goal compared to an assist. So it is quite significant there. But De Bruyne, I think, could still definitely be a goal threat himself. And in that game, Wolves at home, given that I think he'll start pretty much every league game for the remainder of the season, with City now out the Champions League, I think it's kind of free reign to go for De Bruyne at this point and target him and try and pick up on those points, because not a lot of people will own him due to funds, etc. It's difficult to get De Bruyne into a midfield when people have other premiums and other funds spread around the pitch. So he's definitely a differential. If you can go there and you're chasing, then I definitely recommend it personally. We've then got Palmer and Saka, who were 2 very more kind of template picks. Saka maybe less so, given that a lot of wildcarders will have removed him. However, that Bournemouth at home fixture is a very nice one. Probably is a good week to have him in. Obviously, this is a free hit draft, so it's got the free reign to do that however it sees fit. And then we've got Cole Palmer, who was a popular captain option last week. I think he'll be a popular captain option again, to be honest. West Ham United at home, I think it's a good option to put the armband on him. I know it wasn't a massive return last week, and this is only a single game week, which looks a little bit less sexy. However, Palmer, I think, is still a brilliant option on the penalties. We know he's great at home as well in particular. And to be honest, Palmer, I think, if you're looking to go a little bit differential and maybe not go for the standout captain option, who's going to have the armband in this side, then he's probably second best and the one you go for. Even with his high ownership, I think captaining him would be a big differential. And then finally, up front, we've got Erling Haaland, Alexander Isak, and Chris Wood. So a nice mix of kind of the obvious Haaland pick. Then Isak, who's not as strong away from home, but I think that stat is kind of getting blown out of proportion. But Newcastle are poor away from home, but Isak has still been in tremendous form, and I think that he will hopefully show up in that game. I don't think there are many other better striking options you can pick up right now. And finally, Chris Wood. So investing in the Nottingham Forest, obviously Sheffield United is a nice fixture to have. Chris Wood has been getting goals recently. Whether or not that will continue in the game against Sheffield United, I don't really know. I don't have too much of an opinion on it. Are you a Nottingham Forest fan? Maybe you'll know more than me on that regard, to be honest. Leave a comment down below. But Chris Wood, interesting punt nonetheless. And then finally, down on the bench, we're going to see Dubravka, Hudson-Odoi, Doughty, and Mengi. So another Nottingham Forest attacking asset making it in, as well as a Luton defender as well, or a pair of Luton defenders. So that's interesting to see that maybe the algorithm is backing 0-0 in that game between Everton and Luton. So yeah, that is the algorithm team. Anyway, let's see how it compares to mine, as there are a few differences this week. And this is my side. So I've kept a similar structure at the back. I've just taken that Man City asset out in Vardiol and just doubled up on the Everton defence. I've gone all in with Branthwaite in that game there. And then that's in order to kind of allow me to go for a triple Man City attack, which I've done by removing Salah, who I mentioned I'm not backing, going with Foden, putting the 3 of them in there. Hopefully he's back from whatever illness it was he had last game week. And then we've still got Palmer and Saka in there alongside. Isak and Haaland remain with the captain's armband on Haaland for now. And then Ollie Watkins, who is just in brilliant form at the moment. And to be honest, when I was looking at the other strikers, there weren't any like amazingly standout fixtures. I could have taken maybe a more exciting punt, but I think Watkins is very low owned right now. And it would be interesting to see how he fares against Brighton, who haven't been brilliant throughout the course of the season, have injuries as well. So yeah, Watkins is in the team for this week. We've then got Turner, Decore, Livramento and Richards down there on the bench, just with the funds I had left over. I didn't have much flexibility down there, so I just thought I'd have a good first sub in Decore mainly. But finally, we'll move on to have a discussion about the captaincy though, because Erling Haaland is the captain for both myself and the algorithm, but could there be a better pick this week? And if you're chasing rank, captaincy and going different with your armband is definitely a good way that you can do that. So let's have a look. So these are kind of the options that we've gone for. Haaland and Palmer, as I mentioned, being the main two, but Saka and Salah are in here as well. If you own either of those boys, because Saka, as mentioned, has a very nice fixture at home against Bournemouth, and in fact he's tied for predicted points with Erling Haaland, both on 6.4 apiece, with Palmer being the lowest predicted point scorer of the 4 as well. As mentioned, the fixtures look very tasty for a few of these assets here, but the expected goals conceded of West Ham over the last 6 game weeks is by far the poorest, so that looks like the most appetising fixture on paper, in fact, 2.44. I know they've been missing a few players there, They have had Bowen out injured. I know obviously defensively doesn't make the massive amount of difference you would argue, but I still think when a key player goes missing for a team, their overall performance drops, and that can lead to poorer looking numbers at the back and conceding more shots, etc. So, given that West Ham now have a full strength team, I think that could look a little bit different, and that number might be a little bit more blown up and inflated. But it was looking promising for people who might want to go a bit different with someone like a Cole Palmer, because the West Ham stats are looking very nice. Wolves are then on 1.28, but Tottenham are on 1.74, so they're actually the second weakest defence of the four, and Bournemouth are the strongest defence, 0.95 expected goals conceded per 90 over the last 6 game weeks. So yeah, it's very, very good for people looking to go a bit differential. However, I think Palmer is just the one there, and when we look at the kind of expected FPL points per player as well, Palmer is leading the race there too. In fact, I think it might arguably be less of a differential option to go for Palmer this week if we just took the data as is on here. But I think Haaland will be the popular asset. People will be backing Man City in this title race to do well against Wolves, but it could just end up being a 1-0, a 2-0. Maybe Haaland's taken off a bit earlier. Maybe he doesn't actually get involved in one of the goals and just picks up one assist, in which case you could have a lot to gain by going someone like a Cole Palmer, maybe having your expectations set a little bit low, having a bit more fun, and to be honest, I'm personally, in my own side, tempted to do it. So maybe that's coming through, maybe I sound a little bit biased, but let me know what you guys think down below in the comments with regards to the captaincy this week, because I'm definitely looking at captaining Palmer. I know, same captain 2 game weeks in a row, sounds a little bit boring, but Palmer, to me, looks the best option, and I'm very tempted to do it. So we'll see how differential I'm looking to go, looking to try and climb into the top 100k by the end of the season. It's not been a great one, but yeah, let's see if we can redeem some sort of credibility with one final push, shall we? And I think Palmer might be my route to do that. So yeah, thank you everyone for watching. I hope you have a very good game week 36. I will see you all for the second last game week of the season when we come back next week for the game week 37 and the exciting double. And yeah, hopefully your arrow is green for game week 36. And with that, I will catch you in the next one.